Hey guys, I hope the lighting is okay. Hope that you can hear me. I don't have to hold this mic. It's one of those mics that will pick me up at a distance, so I can put it up here, but I like holding it. So today's video is just going to be kind of a rambly thing. I just wanted to talk about things. I just actually wanted to use this microphone, which is incredible and so beautiful. I'll like be laying in bed, deep in shadow work, deep in whatever's coming up. You know, it could be this sense of hopelessness or dread, or it's just, you guys know how shadow work is. Just sitting in the depths of darkness, and I'll just look over and see this microphone sitting on the table, and it'll just make me happy. It'll like just inspire me. It'll give me these feelings of like, I'm gonna feel better, and then I'm gonna get to speak into that beautiful microphone. Basically, I would say she's just like a best friend connection I have. She's like soul family. She's this incredible image channeler. The person who gave me this mic is who I'm speaking about, who gifted me this mic. She channels like oracle decks and amazing psychedelic art. It's incredible how gifted she is. And I'll put her information below too. Her oracle deck is truly something special. And she has this newsletter. Anyways, I just wanted to say thank you to Christina for this amazing microphone. It's like the perfect gift, honestly. And she told me I manifested it because it just like randomly popped into her mind, where I'd been feeling that I had wanted a microphone for months, and it just happened that just like that. She said, I want to send you a microphone. I was like, all right, let's do that. So yeah, I'm just here in Tennessee going through what seems to be a past life wound. I think I got like brutally murdered, like beaten to death, or like a blunt force blow to the head killed me or something, or severely wounded me in a past life, because I really feel like so much up here, like so much sensitivity, so many wounds just like up here, or just like one really deep wound that I brought into my this lifetime. Like it's been in my energetic imprint. And that's the thing with past life wounds, is like there's this wound and it stays in our energetic imprint, and our soul, it brings that imprint into the next lifetime, into the next incarnation. And a sign that it's a past life wound is if the reaction is so much bigger than the trigger. Like if it's just like a little trigger, but there's this huge emotional reaction or pain reaction or the fight or flight response, that's a past life wound. That's a big sign it is. And for me, any little thing with the head, it just triggers something really big, like a big response. And so I've learned like, oh, this is probably a past life thing that I've finally have the consciousness here to work through, to see. And it's rooted, you know, in the fear of life, just not being safe. I think stuff we all have to a certain degree, right? In these animal bodies. Many of us were in past lives, we were burned, you know, we were tortured. We were powerful beings. We brought a lot of light. And this was inconvenient for a lot of other beings. And so we probably encountered all kinds of past life horrific trauma that we now have the capacity and the circumstances and the environment to heal. I mean, I know it's chaos out there, but what a time to be a light worker, right? What a time to be a light bearer, a truth seer, a truth seeker, a truth teller. If we look at recent history, it's a lot safer of a time. It's like maybe it's the frequency on planet Earth is higher. I'm sure that has a lot to do with it. But just as a collective, I think is the big thing. Our consciousness is so much bigger, or so much more expanded. So there's more acceptance for truth, for radical ideas, you know. that actually aren't radical. They're just normal when you become more centered in what you are, which is a divine being. And so yeah, I feel I carried like these. I just got like battered in the head or something. Something awful happened into my head as in past lives. And I just carried it into this lifetime. So I've been going through all kinds of like just crazy darkness up in this region, just from a tiny trigger, like a little bit of, I wouldn't even call it whiplash, just like like something happened, like a sudden jerk in my head, when I got like frightened. It's almost like an embarrassing story to tell, but whatever, here we are. It's like I was like deep in this trance meditation, and then I heard this like bug buzzing in my ear, and it just suddenly snapped my head to the side really hard. And like physiologically physiologically, oh, there it is, that's the word. That's a hard one. I don't think anything happened, but it like I could feel how something in me like was triggered, like something that's really afraid of like anything happening up here was just like a contraction happened, a freeze happened, you know, like something deep within just like just really has flushed to the surface, like a deep wound, a deep fear. And so I've been sitting with that and sitting with that and sitting with that and sitting with that. And it's led to some beautiful insights. It's led to more of a devotion and a commitment to presence than ever. It's like I used to do dopamine fasts and cutting everything out, you know, for to have more productivity. That was like my intention. I'm gonna not look at Instagram. I'm not gonna really turn on my phone at all unless it's to work with a client, you know, for work or whatever, so that I can be more productive, so that I can write, shoot more YouTube videos, whatever. But this time around, I've been finding that I'm doing dopamine fasting, dopamine detoxing, with the intention to become more present, just simply to become more present. And then whatever bursts from the presence, you know, I found that I'm literally, oh, thank you for the support. Some beautiful wildlife out here, birds and such. I hope the microphone can pick up there. Beautiful chiming in. One's really playing this song for us right now. Aww. I found that the more I dopamine fast these days, because I'm not using it as like the intention for more productivity, and I'm just using it for the intention of becoming more present. The more I dopamine fast, the more I just become transformed into presence itself. And like the more we're presence itself, the less there's even problems. So it's like problems only exist when we're in the little me role, like when we're in the little me consciousness, when we're in the egoic state of being, right? When we're identified as all these things, as all these labels. And that plays a part in life, but it's like, if we're just there, there's no freedom. If we're just in the roles, if we're just, you know, in the little me state, then it's like this, there's this prison, and there's a lot of problems that can be manufactured from that place, or at least the illusions of problems, and they can seem so real. And I was starting to have a lot of that. But when we connect to presence, when we let ourselves be transformed into presence by stripping away everything else, by taking away all distractions, we notice that when we are presence itself, there are actually no problems. It's really quite astonishing when you're presence. You're like, oh my God, all those things that I thought were problems, they're not even real. They were just imagined. They were just future oriented, you know? They actually had, it's like they had no real, the only juice they had to them was the juice that like I was giving them, or we give them. But in reality, it's just like they're just not. And it's so interesting how they can like eat away at our psychic energy, our life force, all these imaginary problems we tend to just create when we're identified with the little me. But right when we switch to presence, and I'm not talking, it can happen in an instant, but for me it takes 4 hours to 24 hours of disconnecting from everything else. I'll just connect to the state of presence, And all of that will just disappear. It just like falls away. Because in presence, here's the thing, when you're fully present, when you are presence itself, when you know yourself as presence, when you know that this body and this mind comes out of presence, not the other way around, when you actually experience that, it doesn't matter what happens. Like, your presence, it doesn't matter. Everything's complete, everything's full. So when it doesn't matter what happens because you are presence itself, then what's the problem? There is no problem, right? It's like there's so little real problems in life. So few times are we actually getting chased by that tiger. Do we actually, run out of money and then we have to be homeless, whatever the survival fear is, or that the horrible thing happens that we're fearing is going to happen to us or a loved one, so rarely does that actually happen. And the thing I've learned through this trauma, through this triggering of a past life wound, is like, we're not in control. Like, I'm not in control. Like, this past life wound, I couldn't stop it from being triggered. I couldn't stop this darkness from arising. I was in a meditation, and it just happened. And so that's what I'm also realizing. That's what presence also teaches you, is like, you're not in control. Like, life knows best. And so if you are going to experience something that your ego fears, then why live it twice? Why even worry about it? Like, if your karma is somehow arranged so that you do have to go through that horrible thing you're afraid of going through, well, then you're going to go through it no matter what, right? So you can't control that. Like I said, when you're connected to presence, you just realize whatever is going to come is going to come. Whatever your destiny is, you're going to live that out. And so you might as well just let go, and enjoy the ride. Like, to me, I feel like we're just all going to take this ride, the same ride we're destined to take. It's just like, how do we want to take it? Do we want to take it like this, clenching, contracted, fearful, worrying all the time, wasting all our energy worrying? Or do we want to take it relaxed, receptive, and open? And to see that whatever comes our way through this ride, it's all a divine gift. It's all a divine orchestration for our highest growth. Like, nothing's happening to us. Everything is happening for us, for our highest growth, for our highest good. So even what I'm going through right now, just lots of darkness, lots of past life wound stuff coming up, I'm recognizing that this wound is a portal into more God nature, into more presence. Like, this wound has forced me to go inward deeply. Whenever we're going through something psychologically disturbing or psychologically difficult, we always have to go inwards. We have to go deeper in and to face ourselves, because there's really, it leaves us no other option. There was this mystic in the 16th century, and I wouldn't do this, but this is something he discovered. And so he would put his students in these really kind of fucked up psychological scenarios where they were forced to go inwards. It was like almost a form of torture to get them to recognize their true self. And like I said, I'm not signing off on that, but there is something there. And like, when we're in immense suffering that we can't control, that there's no getting out of in an egoic way, there's a deep gift there, because that kind of suffering, it forces us to go inward into the depths of our being more than we would if we were like in a more, expansive light, in a lighter nature. Like, for a couple weeks there, I was feeling really good, great. And that was beautiful. I could be super creative. There was lots of flow. But I've noticed, since I've gone into this darker state in the last week, since this past life wound has been triggered, I've gone so deeply inward, more so than I have in maybe a year since I had my fall, And I think that's the gift of these, of any darkness, is like, so much light comes from the darkness. It's like Rumi said, the wound is the place where the light enters. And so when you're in a deep, dark wound, whether it's past life trauma or this life trauma, just know, like, that's birthing more light in you. When you're feeling that darkness, you're healing it. When you're feeling that darkness, you're transforming it into light.